Whenever people set goals, it can be, sometimes we get knocked off our horse when we're going after something. So having this vision established can actually help you stay committed.
I'm Heather Grzych, and this is the Wisdom of the Body podcast. This podcast explores the idea of body intelligence as the real key to learning the knowledge of life, or what we call Ayurveda in the ancient language of Sanskrit. We do that by connecting with today's creative leaders and experts who will help you listen to your body, trust your gut, and live in deeper harmony with nature. Come join me as we unlock the golden door to clear, direct perception and become very deep listeners. You can find the Wisdom of the Body podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Stitcher. You can also follow us by joining my email at heathergrzych.com or on Instagram at heathergrzych. I know you're going to love this podcast, so take a second right now to subscribe.
So every type A or witchy female around you right now is creating vision boards, and you're wondering if you should bother with it. So many people wonder what is stronger, if it's fate or is it free will, right? Because when you think about vision boards, it brings up this idea of like manifestation, and manifestation, means I did something to make this happen, right? So fate versus free will comes up when we think about vision boards. And people wonder if they should focus more on surrender or manifestation in their lives. Because, if you do one or the other too much, then things feel like they go out of balance. And the reality is that it's not an either or of fate versus free will. It's not an either or. Both of those things are taking place all the time. It's just the perfect balance of those things. You have to be able to do both in your life. Surrender to those forces that are bigger than you, and at the same time take actions toward manifestation of those things which you do desire. So if you're sitting there wondering if you should create a vision board, then I'm going to say that the answer for you is yes. Because creating a vision board can be fun and really super informative in understanding what it is that you want, and it can change your life. So today I'm going to talk about what a vision board is, how a vision board works, and how to make one so that you can make one that will actually create a powerful transformation in your life. So when you've achieved a certain level of self-realization, you can get into all sorts of fun manifestation. But this power can actually elude some people because they don't do what's necessary to manifest. They may not have the discipline. They may be a quitter. They may be forcing things too much. They may be not paying attention to signals in the environment. There's a lot of different reasons that we don't manifest. There may be different battles going on inside you, like a battle between your head and your heart. My head wants this, but my heart wants this. Or maybe there's a battle between your head and your gut. Your gut is telling you one thing, but your head is telling you something else. Or maybe it's a battle between you and people or in your environment, or materials in your environment, or substances in your environment. So I think that the most common issue with manifestation that I see is a battle between your conscious mind and your subconscious. And this is why I wrote about a specific point in the back of the skull in my book, The Ayurvedic Guide to Fertility. I wrote about a specific point that harmonizes the conscious and the subconscious mind, the primal and the intellectual. And so you can look that up if you haven't found that yet. We have to be able to connect the primal and the intellectual parts of ourselves, the conscious and the subconscious. But what is a vision board, and how the heck could it do that? So vision board is generally a collection of images, typically, that you will create either in using papers or using, electronic digital images and creating it that way. But it's a set of images that can be random. There may be a theme, but as they come together, they begin to form a total vision for you. And there may be things that are very disparate. There may be like a consistent theme on it, but it's a conglomeration of future visions. And you can do these vision boards for set periods of time. You can do them for this, my one for this year, right? The current year, this is my vision board for this year. And I tend to do them for longer periods of time. I tend to do them for, like multiple years, because I tend to work on projects for multiple years, like the big ones that I have my visions for. But, also I've done them writing a book. Do a vision board when I create a book or when I'm working on a book because I want to see those characters that I'm writing about. So a vision board has a lot of benefits, and I've been doing them for a long time. I recently just got together with a group of friends and did this in their house. You can do it by yourself, you can do it with friends. But regardless of who you do it with, if you do it by yourself, if you're looking to create change in your life, whether that's your health or your career or your relationships, a vision board can be super helpful. So the power of a vision board actually relies in its ability to represent your goals, your aspirations, and your desires, which sometimes we're not really aware of. And it can serve as a powerful tool for manifestation and also for your motivation. So the reason that they work is because they're a tangible, visible representation of what your goals actually are, what you actually want to achieve. But when you know what you want to achieve, it can make it easier to focus on that and visualize it regularly. Whenever people set goals, it can be, sometimes we get knocked off our horse when we're going after something. So having this vision established can actually help you stay committed to what it is that you had set originally. So visualizing is actually a very powerful technique that can help align your subconscious mind with your conscious goals, because we know that they're not always talking to each other, and there's lots of different ways to achieve that, vision boards being one of them, to bring the subconscious into the conscious or make the unknown known, which is what art does. And when you do these vision boards, you're typically doing it for a future that you want, right? So there's a positive aspect to it. Usually if you want a different future, there's something about what's happening right now that you don't actually want to have happen anymore. You want some change to happen in your life. So doing this can help you focus on what would bring you a positive future and a positive mindset, positive outlook for that future. And when you select your images, they can represent your goals, and that would promote optimism and a sense of strength and warmth and optimism. And this idea of like possibility that something else can happen other than what is happening right now, and kind of get you out of this. Like if you're stuck, it's really super helpful, basically. So there are many people who talk about the law of attraction, and that's certainly something that comes into play with a vision board. But I'm going to talk about it in really practical terms because it can get kind of woo-woo. There are many definitions of what people refer to when they're talking about the law of attraction. When you make a vision board, you're going to attune yourself to seeing what you actually want in your environment. So when you walk down the street or up the street, you can choose to look at a building, you can choose to look at the sidewalk, you can choose to look at people, you can choose to look at certain types of people, you can choose to study cars, you could pay attention to signs, you could look at plants. There's all different things that you could actually pay attention to when you walk down the street. And you may find yourself habitually oriented to looking at certain types of things and people. And when you create a vision board and what you are seeking goes into this vision board, you begin to become comfortable with being in the presence of that, whatever that is, that energy, that symbol, and you attune yourself to those different qualities and characteristics that you associate with that image. And so when you attune yourself to that, you are drawing your focus to these outcomes, but you also become just more comfortable and ready when it's right there in front of your face. Because sometimes there are things that we want and we don't see them when they're in front of our face. So the board serves as an attunement mechanism, and it helps you understand what it is that you actually want. And it serves as a constant reminder of your aspirations. It will actually influence your thoughts and your actions. You could wake up in the morning and look at it, it's right there to remind you. Knowing what your goals are is super important. It helps you understand what you're trying to achieve in your life, how you want your life to be different. And it can motivate you when things are feeling very challenging, if you're feeling stuck. If there's something that you've been trying to accomplish already that isn't happening, then you have to wonder where the misalignment is. And a vision board can actually be one of those tools that helps you figure that out. When you're faced with obstacles, looking at this visual representation can actually help you. Like if you get knocked off your horse, it's like, no, I really wanted this. And so I look at it and I remind myself. And that could get, psycho as well, because you could then start getting extremely frustrated that you're not getting what you want. And that is something that you'll have to manage after you do your vision board. And that's also very telling when you are getting frustrated about what you don't want. It's all stuff for you to look at. So this subconscious programming is going to get embedded into your conscious manifestation through your vision board. And it's going to change how you act. It's going to change how you perceive things. So put it somewhere where you can see it. Let it remind you of what it is that you want, what your commitment is. And you can be accountable to yourself for that reason. You know, a lot of people, when they're trying to quit smoking, or if there's another habit that you're trying to drop, they'll put something to remind them of the habit that they're trying to drop. Well, in this case, we're not focusing on the habit or the thing that we want to drop. We're focusing on the thing that we want, which is great because a lot of us obsess over the things that we don't want too much, right? So if that's you, then a vision board is very helpful. So it can be super fun to do it. You can get as creative as you like with it. Think outside the box. You don't have to do it in one medium either. Like a lot of people will use magazines and think, oh, I can only use magazines, but you can pull from different types of materials in your vision board as well and have a lot of fun with it. So it's a really fun self-reflection tool. If you're going to do one, you can, again, get magazines or, I have this little calendar that somebody gave me, this little free calendar with a bunch of pictures of nature in it. So whatever kinds of images you have lying around your home, you can get a poster board to glue them onto. You cut out, if you have an empty box at your house, you can actually cut out pieces of the box and glue or tape them down. I think glue is probably a little bit more environmentally friendly than the plastic tape. So use the glue, put it down, and then you're going to need some scissors, things like that. You might want markers so you can draw on it. This is if you're doing it 3D, right? If you're going to do a physical vision board. You can also do a digital vision board. So you can go in PowerPoint or, the presentation thing in Google Drive, which is free. And you can pull images from the internet, from different sources, and piece them together. And I personally like to do that a lot. I just have more options because I don't really have a lot of magazines laying around my house. A lot of people don't. So you have a lot more options when you do it digitally, except then you don't have it in the physical world. So the way that I have personally in my life solved for that is to take the vision board images, get the PowerPoint slide, and then I go to FedEx or Kinko's, whatever that's called now, and have it printed onto something. I like to get it printed on foam core. I stand it up in front of my desk and I leave it there. And so sometimes it looks beautiful when you do it that way. And then if you're using magazines or other mediums, you can actually cut out pieces and add them to the foam core as well. And personally, a lot of people will say, okay, when do I do a new vision board? Well, do a new vision board when you need a new vision. And so, for example, I have a vision board I worked on last year, and I just got together with a bunch of friends to create a new one. And I was like, you know what? I'm not done with this one. So I actually just added things to it. And there were some things I covered up and stuff like that. So you can get creative like that as well. So if you're going to do this vision board, it's really important that you clear yourself out and that you kind of really be more of a wide open channel when you do it. So I think it's important to meditate before you do the vision board. Don't have a lot of distractions around you when you do it, really, unless you're with a group and everybody's there kind of for the same purpose, focused on the right goals, but keep the energy high so that the vision's positive and aspirational when you do it. And really set your intentions. You can do a whole ritual around the board when it's done. One of the things that's super important to do with your board is just look at it when it's done. What is this thing that you have in front of you? What is the final piece here? And what is it telling you? And are you excited and feel how it feels in your body to see all those images? So get that together. And then, maybe you want to talk about it with your friends, but it's actually okay if you don't. It doesn't matter if you do or you do not share it with other people. I like to share it with other people because I see how clear it is when it comes out of my mouth when I interpret it. But at the same time, it just really matters how it feels for you inside. You don't actually have to present it to anybody when you're done. Obviously, if you're doing it with a group, it makes it easier. So if you're going to build a vision board, which I think you should, have fun with it and know that you could do it in 3D or you could do it digitally. If you're going to do it digitally, is probably a way for you to also keep it as your screensaver on your computer. That could be really powerful too, because every time you get on your computer, you're going to see that. That's a really good idea. So, yeah, have fun with your vision board and understand that your manifestation, it happens through you. So it's not like you have 100% control over things. You do have to surrender. You do have to be able to like read the environment and how things are actually moving, kind of know where you are in space and time and see. It's sort of like when you go out on a wave, when you're surfing, you don't have control over the wave, but you can learn how to position yourself in a way where you catch the wave at the right moment. And that's really what a vision board or manifestation is about. It's tapping into that perfect connection between what it is that you're desiring inside and what's happening in the environment around you that can help that desire come through. And what are you there to receive? And how does that feel as it's coming in? Because sometimes that even changes your vision a little bit, you know? So it's a perfect dance. It's an absolute perfect dance between you and the environment. And a vision board is a very, very, very helpful thing. So go ahead, build one. Please reach out if you have questions about how to do this. And if you have anything that you'd like to share about you developing your own vision boards and how successful they've been for you achieving your goals, manifesting your dreams, living the life that you want, having the health that you want, the love that you want, the relationships, the career, all these things that you do have control over. Not 100% control, but you have a lot of control over. So have fun with it. Good luck.
If you are embarking on a fertility journey and are ready to have your mind blown about what your body is really capable of and how it's impacted by the environment, then check out my book, The Ayurvedic Guide to Fertility. You can actually download the introduction to the book for free on my website at heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, Grzych.com. Read the intro for free and then buy the rest of this fertility enlightening book pretty much anywhere books are sold. You know, I get so excited. I get this like kind of goosebump feeling when I get a booking from a new client that I haven't met yet. And I get so excited because I know that somebody has made a decision to go really, really, really deep into their healing. Because I know that Ayurveda is not a quote unquote normal thing that many people have access to, at least not in the United States where I live. So I know that when someone books with me, that they've really made a decision that they want to go deep into their healing. And so you could do that on my website at heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, Grzych.com. You can book me for either a Ayurvedic consultation if you're ready to dive in, or you can also book me for a 15-minute connection call if you're not sure where to go yet. I do have a couple offerings that are not on my website, and we could talk about that. So I look forward to meeting you. Thank you for tuning in and dropping in with us today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. I really want to hear your feedback. To learn more about my work, visit heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, Grzych.com. And meet me here next time on The Wisdom of the Body.